Hello and welcome to my channel, In Search of Wonder. My name is Anne and this is day one of the 12 days of Christmas. The last week of school before Christmas break, the last lesson that I had with each class before we left for Christmas break, I taught the students all about the old Christmas carol, the 12 Days of Christmas. And I was inspired to do some videos for the 12 Days of Christmas because I kind of wanted to do some Bookmas content in December, but I couldn't even do my regular content, let alone adding extra. But now that I'm on break, and I will be on break until January 5th, and the 12th day of Christmas is January 6th, so I feel like I can get these videos up, these short videos in between Christmas and Epiphany, and celebrate Christmas, get a little bit of Bookmas in there, and still feel like I'm participating. So that's what I'm going to do. For the next 12 days, we are going to have daily short videos. And in these videos, I'm going to be looking ahead to 2026 and the different goals and ideas and things that I want to accomplish in the year. And also looking back on 2025 and seeing what I read, how I did on my goals, and stuff like that. So all the good turning of the year kind of things that people like to do. So today, we're going to kick things off by discussing what are my primary goals for 2026. In 2025, I had two goals. Those two goals were to read 100 books on my shelf, 100 books, which is my Goodreads goal. That's pretty much what I do every year, around 100. And it's just a number. It's not super meaningful to me. It's just what I can normally do on an average reading year. This year, I'm not quite at the end of December yet as I'm filming this, and I'm pretty sure I won't quite get there because I think I have like 7 or 8 books left. And unless I just read some really super short pamphlets or something, that's not going to happen. So that's fine. I'm totally okay with that. I actually ended up doing much better than I thought that I would, so I'm happy. My other goal was to read 50% of the books that I read from my shelf. So basically 50% of my reading would be from my physical TBR. And I was very successful with that. In fact, it was more than 50%. So I consider that a win all around. Those were my only two goals. So I have double the goals for 2026, but kind of sort of not really. So what are my goals? Goal number 1 is flexibility and enjoyment in my reading. And this is something that I kind of arrived at as the year went on. I was getting very slumpy at certain points of the year. My reading wasn't the fault. Life was at fault. Life was lifing this year. There were several events that took place this year that just, the word traumatizing comes to mind, but they weren't traumatizing. They just were difficult times that we went through. And it took away from my ability to read. And so ended up putting me in a slump. But it didn't help that I felt obligated to read certain books because I had put them on my TBR or I was participating in a reading challenge and I felt like I needed to read those. And so I would get stuck in those books even though I couldn't concentrate on them and I couldn't really read them or do them justice. And so I got slumpy more than once in the year, which is why I'm surprised that I am ending up still getting close to my reading goal. There were a couple of months when I don't know, I read 4 or 5 books, I don't even know, which is very unusual for me. So this year, I just want to be a little bit more mindful of something I already know, but just to give myself permission, I guess, that I don't have to abide by my TBR even if I make it in a month. And it was very freeing in October that was the first month of the year, honestly, that I really embraced that concept. And I really wanted to read books for Victober. And it was the 10th year, and they had 10 challenges. And I really wanted to, but I simply did not have the time or the bandwidth to do that. We were in the middle of it, not as bad as December. It wasn't as crazy as that, but it was still just a lot going on in school life, church life, family life. And it was very difficult to adequately read, that Victorian literature, which tends to be lengthier, more in depth, more involved, more mentally challenging and stimulating. So I did not participate to the extent that I wanted to in Victober. But I was like, as the month went on, I just thought to myself, why do I feel like I have to confine this to October? There's nobody policing this. Nobody cares if I keep reading the Victorian literature past October, and if I keep marking it off the bingo card that they made, and if I just take my sweet time finishing this challenge. I don't have to get it done in October. It was very freeing, and I am currently reading A Tale of Two Cities, and I'm only a few chapters in, but when I'm finished it, I'm going to mark it off on the bingo boxes that it applies to on the Victober card, even though we're 2 months past October. So my goal number 1 is just to embrace that attitude of flexibility, which I think will increase my enjoyment in my reading and not feeling confined to a month. I have to read this in the month. So that's my goal number 1. Goal number 2 is to manage my book inventory. And I'm putting it that way because it's kind of maybe managing my storage, my book storage is a better way of putting it. It doesn't mean simply not buying books. Like, putting myself in a book ban is not sufficient. It's multifaceted. I have to read the books that I own. I have to be very choosy about the books that I purchase. And I am going to have to do a little bit of rearranging on my shelves so that the books that are important to me, I can keep. And that's where I'm running into right now. There are books that I really want to keep, but I have shelves over here that have stuff like music books that I haven't used in years, literally, like student book music books. I haven't used in years, literally, and probably will not for many years, if ever. So I think some of my shelves could do with a little bit of cleaning out and perhaps putting those books in a bin in the attic or something like that, because I don't need to access them on a regular basis. And then that will create space for the books that I actually do want to keep and read and look at. So I'm going to be more proactive about managing my inventory in more specific ways. And to that end, I do have a couple of challenges for myself that will involve working through my physical TBR and making sure that I don't increase my physical TBR beyond what I'm capable of actually reading. Part of the problem is, since I started selling books on Pango and Facebook and on my Etsy shop, I am always like on the lookout for book inventory. So I am much more frequently going to places where I buy books, and then I buy books not to sell, but for myself. That's a bit of a problem. So I'm going to have to be more conscientious about that for sure. When I'm looking for inventory, to be focused on that and not be like, oh, book for me, book to sell, book for me, book to sell, book for me. Yeah, gonna have to be a little bit more careful about that for sure. But I don't want to say I can't ever buy a book for myself or add to my physical TBR. That's just too strict, and that's a rule I would break it like day one. So I'm not even going to try, but I do think that I can be more conscientious and much more careful about what I choose to bring home and be pretty choosy about it. So one of the things that I'm going to do is the same thing I did last year, which is read at least 50% of my books from my physical TBR. So not from the library, not borrowed, but from my physical TBR, and not books that I have to go out and buy for a particular challenge or whatever. So not that I can't do that at all, but that 50% of the books I read be from my physical TBR. So that is part of this inventory management that I'm going to be doing. Also, the video I already shared a month ago or so, I will link to it here, my 10 at a time plan, where I have 10 books at a time. These are books that I have been wanting to read, that I physically own, and I just haven't read them yet. Once I read them, I can decide, do I really need to keep it or not? But I don't want to get rid of them before I read them. So I'm going to be doing that 10 at a time as well, and I'm hoping that I can go through at least 2 cycles of 10, so 20 books. And I have a couple of other plans regarding managing my physical TBR inventory, and so I will have some other videos about those ideas and sharing those with you as well. So that's my second goal, manage my book inventory a little bit better. My goal number 3 is a same goal from last year, same goal I have every year, 100 books. That's gonna be in my Goodreads TBR on my story graph. That is my number goal every year. It doesn't really mean anything. It's just what I normally can do in a year. So it always stays the same. And number 4, I'm going to be doing reading challenges and buddy reads. So tomorrow's video will be all about specifically the reading challenges that I have chosen that I am committing to participating in for the whole year. There will be month-long ones, of course, that I will do and participate in, ones that I love, and there will be new ones, I'm sure, but there are some year-long ones that when I do those challenges, I like to commit to them and stick them out and read those 12 books. So I'm choosy about the ones that I pick, even though there were so many wonderful and amazing ones by some pretty awesome booktubers. I have to choose carefully. So last year I managed to do 4. I normally only do 3. Last year I managed to do 4, and one of them was the Jane Austen challenge, which actually had pre-assigned books, which I don't like that kind, but it was Jane, so I managed, and I actually really loved it. So this year I think I'm gonna try for 4 again, and we'll see how it goes. So those are my 4 goals for my reading life. Very quickly, I just wanted to mention a couple of my channel goals that I have. I don't have a lot. Right now, I'm not in a place where I can be really creative about, I just don't have the bandwidth for thinking up new ideas or strategizing or planning new things. Like, it's just not where I am right now. But there are a couple of things that I want to do in 2026 that are my primary goals. And the number one is really easy. It's just maintain consistency. I want to have my weekly reading vlog on a regular basis. Probably I will take a break again in December because that was actually really nice. So the beginning of December, the first 2 or 3 weeks, I will probably take a break again. But otherwise, I want to be pretty consistent about having a weekly vlog and then a midweek video as well. The midweek one probably being shorter. And a lot of times what's been happening this year is that I will include content in my weekly vlog that honestly could be a separate video, and my weekly vlogs end up being really long. So I think I will also, so that I can maintain that consistency, pull some of those videos that I would do in my vlog and make them my weekly video instead, or like my midweek video instead. So goal number 1 on the channel, maintain consistency and maybe shuffle around some things so that I can do that. And secondly, there are a few series that I started, even some of them a year ago, and I haven't made any new content in those series. It wasn't something that I intended to be like monthly or whatever, just as I had thoughts or topics or whatever I could add to it. But I haven't. And they were really fun ones, so I want to do more of them. One was my books are like coffee, I think is what I called it. And so I have just like different types of coffee and then books in a particular theme that go with the types of coffee. So like, you know, a straight double shot espresso would be the most esoteric, if you will, or heavy book to read. Whereas, you know, a frothy little powdered cappuccino sort of thing would be like an easy read, a really easy, fun popcorn sort of read. So I want to do some more in that. And then I also had 6 degrees of insert author name. And so that was really fun. I think I've done Austen and Bronte's, maybe. I've done a couple, 2 or 3 maybe. So I want to do more of those, and that's where I have an author, and then I have multiple categories about the author. Like, so books by that author, books about that author, books inspired by that author, etc., or adaptations of that author's work. So 6 different categories. And I have book recommendations for all of those categories, either for books that I've read and loved or books that I want to read. So I want to do some more of those. And I also want to do, I started a hot takes series and I did 1 video. I want to do some more. I got a little bit, I don't know, stuck because I had an idea for one, but then the more I like thought through it, I don't know, it was hard because it became more nuanced than just a hot take, you know? So I kind of do want to do that though. And I also had deep thoughts videos where I would do like a deep dive analysis into a particular book, or I would have, you know, I don't know, almost like an essay, sort of like a video essay about a particular topic, about a book or a category or a topic related to reading, whatever. So I want to do more of those series that I've already started. I don't necessarily want to start any new series. I don't have any new ideas at the moment. Not saying I won't, but right now I don't. I just want to add to those series because they were fun. I enjoyed them. And it's been a while since I've revisited them and built on those. So I want to do that. So those are my reading goals and my channel goals for 2026, and that is day 1 of the 12 days of Christmas. So come back tomorrow and I will tell you what reading challenges I hope to accomplish in 2026. See you then.